Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to the sheep pen, bah, where no goats are allowed. I wanted to make this video today to just let you guys know that I'm taking a little bit of time off. Not a long break, just a little bit of time off for the holiday weekend. Normally I make a video on Wednesday, a video on Thursday, and a video on Sunday, no matter what. And oftentimes I throw in a couple extra videos throughout the week to get 3 to 5 videos a week. I think I've been averaging about 14 to 15 videos a month, and these are most of them, nearly all of them are sermons. And I know I make it look easy, but this actually is work. And it's a special kind of work that exhausts you in a way that it's very difficult to explain unless you know somebody who works in this kind of business. I don't know, it's hard to call it business. It's a craft, it's an art. Preaching is very draining if you do it right. Okay, so there's a lot of preachers out there that phone it in. They're given their sermons weekly by the people over them, and then they just put their own twist on it, and boom, they don't have to create anything. They don't have to have a strategy. It's built into the system. So a lot of the people that a lot of churches that you've gone to in the past, you may not know this, that you're hearing a sermon on Sunday, that maybe thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are hearing the same sermon on that Sunday because it was distributed from higher ups. It's part of an annual curriculum for preaching. Now, you guys know I don't do it that way. I don't come from preachers that do it that way. I come from preachers who kind of look at people like that as less than the true calling of a preacher. That I will never sign on to some kind of weekly curriculum where I regurgitate something some other preacher has said to you, and line up with other preachers who are saying the same thing that day. I put a ton of intense personal study and some word meditation on the word, meditation on what I'm going to deliver, that I spend hours and hours in deep intense thinking and managing. And I do make notes, and this might be a good opportunity, since I'm not delivering a scriptural message today, to just kind of give you insight into what it's like to deliver this kind of doctrine in the way that I'm doing it. But it's deciding when and how to deliver the messages. Is part of it is intense intellectual reasoning, and a portion of it is intense spiritual discernment. So I'm listening for God's will, and that can be very draining. So I said all this to say is that I've been working hard for you, and you guys have blessed me by supporting the ministry, so that I'm basically making, you might call, minimum wage. I'm basically earning minimum wage doing what I do here for y'all. And so thank y'all for those that are tithing and supporting and giving gifts. And I'm getting to the point where I'm not terrified that this will be the week that it all dries up, or I'll make a mistake and lose a couple of my key givers. I mean, I have had a lot of stress over the last 4 months over the money on it, even though I have great faith, and I've stepped out on faith. I just stepped out on faith, and went, what God ordains, He sustains, and He hasn't let me down, and He's used many of you great people to be His hands and feet in the world in regards to helping me make ends meet here, so that I can take all this intense study time. I can take all of this intense spiritual focus. And I do want to talk about some of the fruit of this ministry, because I don't talk about that enough. I don't have enough hallelujah moments on this channel, because I'm having them. I'm just not sharing them, because I've been so intently and intensely determined and focused on delivering this spiritual message of God's love, forgiveness, and open grace, combined with Jesus' authority and power that he manifested on this earth, that we could do even greater things than he did. So signs and wonders, miracles, spiritual warfare, and this love message, to me, is the closest thing to the original Christ message, the original Jesus message, before the disciples and the later on apostles and church fathers would start to interpret and manipulate what Jesus said or what they thought he meant. That very pure form of his message really is that love combined with spiritual power and authority in this world. And signs and wonders, miracles are not just there to show people the power and realness of God, but they're there as tools for the believer to live a more triumphant life, to overcome sickness, to overcome mental struggles, to overcome stress, to overcome conflict, right? So, said all that to say, I was starting to kind of get tired, like just not physically tired, because what I do isn't physical. It's like emotionally, spiritually stressful. And unlike a normal church where I might have an assistant or someone that I could just turn the service over to and go, hey, I'm not feeling up to it today, can you preach for me? I don't really have that opportunity. And when you boast about something, God tends to humble you, right? So not too long ago, I boasted how I outpace your local pastor because he only preaches 2 or 3 times a week, and at that time I was turning out more like 4 or 5 sermons a week. And right after I bragged about that, I started having less energy, and God slowed me down a little bit. My sermons got longer and a little more intense and less of them. But I realize now why preachers are limiting their services to 3 times a week for the most part. Because it's a physical, emotional, spiritual drain to produce. If you do it right, if you're not just getting your curriculum handed down to you, but if you take the time to seek God's will, find a topic, study up on it, get a new and fresh perspective, and then offer this bread of life to the people. When you feed the sheep the way they were meant to be fed, it's very draining. And I can see why they limit themselves to 3 times a week. Plus, I think about 3 sermons a week is all that most people can really absorb. That I feel like you start to get to a point where you're disseminating so much intense information about spirituality, life in the Bible, and history, all of that it can be an overload for people. So I'm honestly thinking that my church, that y'all can really only handle about 2 hours maximum of input in a week. 2 hours of intense lectures. And that's what sermons are, really, just entertaining lectures. If I'm doing it right, it's entertaining. And so, I think probably the Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule will be something that I stick to. I dropped back on the music. It seemed to be there was about 100 people who were really liking the praise and worship and watching the praise and worship. But I noticed that everyone are into the sermons and into the speeches, because that's what I do here, the spoken word. And I had a small following of people that were into the music. But the music, for me, coming up with praise and worship music every week, it's just about as draining in some ways as to coming up with another sermon. So I took some of the energy I was using on praise and worship and kind of phased that out. Not to say I won't ever do praise and worship. I will do it from time to time. And of course, you can always scroll down. But that's one thing about praise and worship. If you got your favorite 7, 8 songs, you're kind of good for a while, So I might work in some new music. I'm still into writing some music specific to the doctrine and this sheep pen ministry. I may offer that in a video form at some point. But right now, I wanted my main focus to be on this message. The first phase of it is love, forgiveness, acceptance. That's all there now in these videos. You can go back to, you can send people back to. And I intend to get in there and organize them by topic and put some playlists together so that you can, click play on this and get the whole love message, all of it in a row, or all of the spiritual warfare messages in a row, that kind of thing. But because it's the holiday weekend, today is Friday, And I didn't put up a video yesterday, not because I made this decision to take some time off, but because I kind of hit the wall. Like, I just didn't have enough spiritual, physical, emotional, intellectual energy yesterday to finish doing all the research I needed for the video and to produce it and upload it. And so I kind of just petered out. My mom used to say I tapped out, yesterday evening, and just went, okay, I can only absorb so much information. I can only, I can only write so much. It's not product. What would I call it? Well, message. I can only, prepare so much in a day until I'm just worn out, and I just didn't make the deadline yesterday. So I got up this morning with the intention to just double down on it today. I'm going to get this message out today, and then I'll start working on my Sunday message, get that all lined out so all my ducks are in a row, and I can get my 3 messages in this week. And then I was looking at the calendar because I'm looking to pay bills this first of the month, and I realized that this is a Labor Day holiday. So most of you aren't going to be doing the normal things that you do anyway. You're going to be at the lake. You may be there now. You're going to be with family and friends. You're going to be barbecuing, grilling out, they call it in the South, or cooking out. On the West Coast, they call it barbecuing. In Texas, barbecue is a kind of smoked meat. In the West Coast and other parts of the world, barbecue is an event. Right? Come over to our house. We're having a barbecue, or we're going to barbecue. When I first went to other places after being a Texan, and people said, "Come on over, we're gonna barbecue," I was thinking, yeah, smoked brisket, right on. And then there's hot dogs and hamburgers. And I'm like, this isn't barbecue. The event's called barbecue. So many of you are grilling out, cooking out, barbecuing. You're at the lake fishing, enjoying the weather. So I imagine that I would have reduced numbers anyway for this weekend. And since I kind of hit the wall yesterday and just I hit a moment of, I just need a little bit of rest. I just need to let go of the message for a minute. Even when I'm off, even when I'm doing other things, I'm doing normal human activities, right? And I'm not supposed to be at work, I'm still chewing on it. I'm struggling with letting go. I got such a passion for this message. I got such a passion for it that if I'm not careful, I'll burn myself out, right? And I'm experienced enough to know the warning signs. So when I couldn't come up with the message, instead of doing what I would have done in the past and dug down deeper and pulled one out, that combined with the fact that the rest of you are resting, right? This is the resting weekend. This is a holiday weekend. And just so that you guys know, I mean, I worked through the 4th weekend, 4th of July. I worked through Memorial Day. I haven't taken any time off. I had one Sunday where, because my sister was moving, I just failed to be able to get it done. I think it was because she was moving. Some big thing going on in my life that had nothing to do with the channel that kind of held me back. I think I missed one Sunday since I started 4 months ago. And by the way, this is the 4-month anniversary of the channel. We've been, not the channel, but the Sheep Pen Ministry is 4 months old now. Thank you and bless every one of you for supporting me for 4 months. It's such a miracle and a testament to God. And it proves what I said when I said at the beginning of this, that if God wants me to do this, He's going to sustain it. He's going to fund it. What God ordains, He sustains. So this ministry has been proven. You that have obeyed God and gave to this ministry have been proven right. Your collective work together to support this ministry has been successful, and I have been making enough to get by. And I'm not greedy, so I'm not worried that I don't have an emergency fund or a full freezer right now. What God ordains, He sustains, and so I'm just operating on faith. And I want to let you know that I really feel like so many of you, I feel like family. I feel like I know a lot of you. And I know most all of you who watch regularly feel like you know me, but it's starting to be the other way too. And I have been, I start to feel like I know some of you because we've been communicating via email. So a lot of times when I'm not in this intense process of creating content for the channel, I'm answering emails. In fact, I've started doing something that, instead of taking the time, writing on my phone, right, is time consuming. And and my that's what I'm looking for. My media of choice is the spoken word. So sometimes when I get these long replies that I need to reply to a email about, I'll send a video instead. I'll just make a quick video just to that person concerning their situation, and then post it up on YouTube in an area where only they can see it, and give them a link to it. So I got all that going on top of the creation of the content, coming up with the sermons, and it isn't just preaching too, because I'm teaching and preaching, but I'm formulating doctrine. Like, I'm disseminating to you some very new ideas. And I can't go out and go, hey, I'm going to preach to you what this other preacher preached, or I heard a great sermon, I'm going to regurgitate. This stuff is being created. It's being birthed. That's what I tell my friends and family, that the best way to explain how these sermons come out, it's like giving birth. It's just this intense creative process until boom, it just comes out onto the video, you know. And there's labor pains, right? It's not comfortable. It's a struggle to do this. It's probably about it. This is the most difficult kind of preaching there is, to produce to you somewhat original doctrine or collection of doctrinal beliefs in a fashion that is easy to understand, and is digestible, right, and makes sense. It's I ain't complaining and I ain't bragging. I'm just letting you guys know that I am working for you, and I'm proud of the people that understand that and are supporting me financially. So I do have a little bit of food in the freezer now, and it ain't a full freezer, right? I still don't have floor coverings or a sink or tires, but God's going to provide for that. And I'm so blessed that you guys have been paying my electric bill, and you guys have been paying for my grocery bill, and you have been paying for my insurance, right? And I don't have any loans or owe anybody any money, or even have any mortgage or anything. So you're just sustaining my daily life, making sure that I can get to town to buy groceries and back to my little cabin in the woods. So I'm just so grateful to you guys, that to y'all. You guys, I've got such a mix. Y'all or you guys, depends on where you're from. And I'm from all over. So, but anyway, I do very much value and appreciate every one of you. I enjoy the interactions I have via email and video and phone calls and things. And I've even been to some people's houses. And so that's all going on in a way that you can't see. So I've been working. So I'm going to take a little time off this weekend. I will probably, for Sunday, still produce a video, because I don't want to just leave a blank Sunday. If this was a regular stick and mortar church, I'd have a guest come in, or I'd produce some kind of thing. Someone else would produce something that they would show you, or there would be some filler in there to make up for the absence. For those of you who aren't busy with family, those of you who are hanging on the edge of your seat, and do need that regular bread, that regular feeding of the sheep. So because I don't have anyone to pass it off to, this Sunday I will probably just do a short Bible study and maybe sing a song. Something really low intensity for me, so I can kind of detach a little bit from the formation of this doctrine, from the presentation of this, because I'm not just presenting a video or a sermon. I'm presenting an overall lifestyle, way of living, spiritual program for you. And every video is connected to the one before and the one after, and lays the groundwork for future videos. And the one I'm doing today proves previous videos. And tying that together into this big package is very draining. So I'm going to take the weekend off from that activity. I'm going to take the clue I got from my mind, body, spirit, and the Holy Spirit when I did not get the message in the can for yesterday. And I'm going to let myself off the hook for the rest of the weekend, and offer you a little Bible study on Sunday morning. And I'm just gonna take a breather. Like, I'm I'm a little exhausted, I won't lie. So that's what Labor Day is for, is to rest from your labor. So enjoy your family, enjoy your cookouts, regardless of whether they're barbecues or cookouts, or whatever you call them. Catch a fish for me. Feel free to send me some pictures of your fun. That'd be great. If you want to send it to me via email, if you want to post it, yeah, it'd be the best way is just send it to me via email. I do want to share a letter from a viewer before I go. And this person also, this was accompanied by a nice financial gift. Thank you. That was very much needed this month. One thing about holidays tends to be a little skinnier in donations. So thank you to, I won't name names. I like to keep things anonymous, but you know who you are. And this is the letter that you sent along with your gift. I have a question. Maybe you can answer it. In one of your videos, can answer it in one of your videos. So this is me answering it in one of my videos. Right on. Been around sheep and goats all my life. Sheep are loving and clannish. Goats are playful, inventive, and curious. So why the distinction in the scriptures of sheep good and goats bad? Just curious. Okay, so I've been a goat owner, and I can tell you that goats, and here's my colorful language again, goats are assholes. They're lovable. They are cute, curious. They are whimsical. They can be quite funny. But they will stomp on your car. Don't bend over to pick something up because they cannot resist the urge to headbutt you in the butt and send you face first into some goat dung. Ask me how I know. Billy goats especially are a pain in the neck. Little baby nanny goats and baby goats are very cute. But why the distinction in the Bible is a whole different deal. And I talk about the personality of goats because I used to raise goats. And compared to sheep, they are menacing, ornery little toots. And if you like that, that can be quite fun. I do know, I've seen my dad so angry at a goat before. I used to raise baby goats, and my dad was bringing two 3-gallon pails of cream-laden fresh milk that he spent the morning, milking our Guernsey milk cow. And that stuff's almost 50-50 cream. And I had a bunch of, knee-high baby goats, and they were just running loose. And they could smell that milk. And they came at my dad, and it was about, 7 a.m. in the morning. He's barely awake, drinking coffee and milking a cow at the same time. And then he's got the fruit of his labor, and these baby goats just dive into the buckets and dump the buckets over. Oh, man, the old Marine, he almost rounded up every single goat on that place and went to killing, but I talked him out of it. We did lose, like I said, close to right around 5-6 gallons of milk and cream that morning. And anyhow, so goats can be irritating, but that is not why the Bible makes that reference. And the reference I refer to when I talk about the sheep pen and the goat pen is the division between what Jesus calls the sheep and the goats in the parable of the end time judgment, where he gathers the nations together, and there are those there who helped the poor, who helped the sick, who were caring, giving, and loving to their fellow man. And there were those that didn't do those things. And even though they considered themselves spiritually powerful and high-ranking religious figures, so I imagine there's a lot of preachers, I imagine there's a lot of deacons over there in that goat pen that are saying, Lord, Lord, why are you separating us away? Why are we not included? Why are you rejecting us? And he told them, because when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. So, but why did Jesus use goats and sheep as the parable? Well, it's because we're not Middle Eastern shepherds. Middle Eastern shepherds often had mixed flocks. They would have flocks that consisted of goats, herds of goats, and a herd of sheep. And they would all kind of run together. And as far as dividing them, there is some personality traits that you can associate with people who are selfish. So goats tend to be self-centered. Goats will spill all the milk to get one drop. Goats will abandon their own food to take food from another goat. Another thing, goats are hard to herd. They run in sporadic ways. They don't stick together. They wander off on their own. So they're just problem children who are selfish in nature. And even though, the goats belong to you, when it came time to herd up your animals, you didn't herd the goats. You did whatever with the goats. You herded the precious sheep up. Because goats were somewhat valuable. One the lady in the letter talks about, I think it's a lady in the letter, that her handwriting looks feminine anyway, who, the lady in the letter talks about, that you can milk a goat and make goat cheese. So goats are useful, but sheep are way more useful, because although sheep don't provide milk, sheep provide wool. So sheep can clothe and feed you. You can live off of the offspring for food, the lambs, and you can live off and have clothing and material and cloth that you can trade from the wool. So the wool making properties of a sheep make them a higher value stock than a goat. And also, goats don't need no tendon, right? Sheep need the shepherd, really, more than the goats do. Sheep have to have help, right? And so this is a parable for those of us who help each other and look to God and each other for help, versus goats who tend to be self-centered. They tend to be selfish. They're only concerned with number one. They don't really have a flock herd mentality. They will butt another goat right off a cliff because they think it's funny. Goats are cute and adorable and lovable, but goats are assholes. So anybody that raises both sheep and goats know the difference. And the reason it puzzles us is because we've not lived that lifestyle of a shepherd. So for just doing a short video, I sure have been long-winded at 26 minutes now, almost 27 minutes. But I once again want to thank y'all. I'm going to leave you with this blessing. Also, if you want to contribute, I know I'm taking the weekend off, but it'd be nice to get paid anyway. A lot of you are getting the paid weekend off. But there's a PayPal in the description. Also up here at the top of the channel somewhere, there's a little Patreon link. You can join Patreon for an automatic monthly donation of your choice, of your size, whatever sizes you want to make. Some might make it easier for some of y'all. You can send a check to the P.O. Box, which is what a lot of people choose to do. And all of that is in the description. And I'm going to leave you with this blessing, that you have a great weekend. I pray to God that you have a joyful, enjoyable weekend. And I pray that the Lord bless and keep you, His face shine upon you. May you become cannons of light, destroying the enemy. May the Lord surround you in His ring of fire and hedge of thorns of protection. And may He send His mighty angels in sufficient rank, authority, and number to rout the enemy from your midst and drive them away from you. And then may God surround you in His peace and envelop you in His peace that surpasses all understanding. And we'll see you next time on the Sheep Pen, where nothing against goats, but there are no goats allowed. All right, we'll see you next time.